The train that arrived 27 years late, 1891. Part 1, The Last Departure. The bitter wind swept across the small railway station. Snowflakes drifted gently through the cold evening air. It was December 18th, 1891. The old station clock slowly ticked toward 8 p.m. Steam rolled from the great black locomotive as its iron wheels rested upon the frozen rails. The train was known as the Midnight Express. For many years, it had faithfully carried travelers across the snow-covered mountains. Tonight, everything seemed perfectly ordinary. Families embraced one another. Children laughed as they watched the white clouds of steam rise into the dark sky. Porters hurried along the platform with heavy leather suitcases. The station master checked his gold pocket watch one final time. Nothing, not a single person, could have imagined that history was about to change forever. Among the passengers stood a quiet young schoolteacher named Emily Carter. She held a small leather suitcase in one hand and a carefully wrapped wooden box in the other. Inside the box was a gift for her father, a gift she had promised to deliver before Christmas. A few steps away, an elderly doctor adjusted his long wool coat before helping an exhausted mother and her little daughter onto the train. Near the first carriage, a young railway engineer carefully inspected the great steam engine one final time. Everything appeared to be in perfect condition, or so everyone believed. Far beyond the station, hidden deep within the snow-covered mountains, a violent winter storm was beginning to awaken. Dark clouds slowly gathered above the distant peaks. The icy wind became colder, stronger, sharper. Yet no warning reached the station. At exactly 8 p.m., the station master raised his green lantern. The locomotive answered with one long, powerful whistle. The great engine slowly came to life. Its enormous wheels began to turn. The Midnight Express quietly left the station, disappearing into the endless white darkness. No one waved with fear. No one cried. No one knew that this would become the most mysterious train journey in American history. And 27 years later, the impossible would happen. Part 2, Into the Frozen Mountains. The Midnight Express moved steadily through the silent winter landscape. Its great steam engine breathed heavily into the freezing night. White clouds of steam drifted above the locomotive before disappearing into the darkness. Inside the passenger coaches, the atmosphere was warm. Soft oil lanterns swayed gently from the wooden ceiling. Most of the passengers had settled into their seats. Some quietly read books. Some whispered to their families. Others simply watched the endless snow-covered forests pass by the frosted windows. Emily Carter carefully placed the small wooden box on her lap. She smiled softly. Only 2 more days. Then she would finally see her father again. Across the aisle, the elderly doctor closed his eyes for a moment. The little girl beside him had already fallen asleep against her mother's shoulder. Everything felt calm, peaceful, almost comforting. Outside, the world was changing. The wind grew stronger. Snow began falling faster. The mountains slowly disappeared behind thick curtains of white. The train entered Black Hollow Pass. It was the highest and most dangerous railway crossing in the entire region. The engineer reduced the speed. Visibility had almost vanished. Only the faint glow of the locomotive's headlamp cut through the storm. Suddenly, the fireman looked ahead. His face turned pale. "There is something on the tracks." The engineer leaned forward, but the snow was too thick. He could see almost nothing. The locomotive continued moving. Closer, closer. Then, the strange shape disappeared, as though it had never been there. Neither man spoke another word. Inside the train, no passenger knew what had just happened, but an old man sitting alone in the last carriage quietly opened his eyes. Without saying a single word, he looked toward the frozen mountains outside the window and whispered, "It has begun." At that exact moment, the station clock in the nearest mountain village stopped, exactly at 11:47 p.m. No one knew why, no one noticed, but years later, everyone would remember that exact time. Part 3, the storm that should never have been. The Midnight Express continued its slow climb into the mountains. Outside, the world had vanished beneath a curtain of snow. The locomotive's powerful headlamp could barely reach beyond the swirling blizzard. Inside the train, everything still felt peaceful. A gentleman quietly folded his newspaper. The elderly doctor smiled as the little girl slept soundly beside her mother. Emily Carter looked through the frosted window. All she could see was endless white. The train rounded another sharp mountain curve. Then, the wind suddenly stopped. Not slowly, not gradually. Instantly, an impossible silence covered the mountains. Even the great steam engine seemed quieter. The engineer frowned. "I don't like this," he whispered. The fireman nodded. "I've never seen a storm become silent." For several long seconds, nothing happened. Then, a single railway signal bell rang somewhere in the darkness. Ding. Only once. The engineer looked ahead. There isn't supposed to be a signal station here. The fireman stared into the storm. There isn't. The train continued forward. Slowly, carefully. Suddenly, a lonely lantern appeared beside the tracks. Its warm golden light burned steadily against the freezing wind. A man stood beside it. He wore a long black coat and an old railway cap. His face remained hidden beneath the falling snow. Without moving, he slowly raised one arm. Then, he pointed toward the mountains. Not toward the railway, toward the darkness beyond it. The engineer instinctively reached for the brake. But before he could pull the handle, the stranger was gone, as if he had never been there. No footprints, no lantern, nothing. The fireman stepped back. His voice barely rose above a whisper. "Did you see him?" The engineer answered without taking his eyes off the tracks. "I hope I didn't." Inside the passenger coaches, no one had seen the mysterious man. The passengers remained calm, completely unaware that something impossible had just happened outside. Then, the locomotive whistle sounded. Once, twice, a third time. Not because the engineer pulled the cord, but because it blew by itself. A deep, lonely sound echoed across the frozen mountains. Far away, something answered. Not another train, not an animal, something else. A long, faint, mournful whistle drifted back through the storm. The engineer's hands tightened around the controls. There can't be another train on this line. Yet, someone, or something, had answered. Part 4. The train that vanished. The mournful whistle faded into the storm. Silence returned. For a few long moments, no one spoke. The engineer kept both hands firmly on the controls. His eyes searched the snow-covered tracks ahead. Nothing. Only darkness. Only falling snow. The Midnight Express continued forward. Slowly. Carefully. Then, the locomotive began to lose speed. Not because the brakes had been applied. Something seemed to be pulling against the train. The great iron wheels groaned. Steam burst violently into the freezing air. The fireman quickly checked the engine. "Everything is working." The engineer nodded. "I know, but why are we slowing down?" Inside the first carriage, Emily Carter looked up. She could feel a strange vibration beneath her feet. The oil lantern above her gently swayed. Across the coach, the elderly doctor closed his book. Even the little girl opened her eyes. Something felt different. Outside, the snowstorm became strangely calm. The wind disappeared once again. Then, the darkness ahead began to change. A pale white fog slowly covered the railway. It wasn't ordinary fog. It glowed. Softly, quietly, almost beautifully. The engineer had never seen anything like it. "We can't stop here," he whispered. The Midnight Express entered the glowing mist. One carriage disappeared, then another, then another. Within seconds, the entire train was hidden. At the nearest railway station, nearly 15 miles away, the telegraph operator waited for the Midnight Express to report its position. Nothing arrived. He sent another message. No reply. He checked the telegraph wires. Everything was working perfectly, but the train had fallen completely silent. Back inside the glowing mist, Every passenger looked out of the windows. The mountains were gone. The pine forests had disappeared. Even the stars had vanished. Outside, there was only endless white. No sky, no earth, no horizon. Emily whispered softly, "Where are we?" No one answered, because no one knew. And somewhere, far beyond the white silence, a station clock struck midnight. Part 5, the station that didn't exist. The Midnight Express rolled silently through the endless white mist. There was no sound, except the slow rhythm of the iron wheels. Click, click, click. No one spoke. Even the children had fallen silent. The strange world outside the windows remained unchanged. No mountains, no forests, no stars, only an endless sea of pale white. Emily Carter pressed her hand gently against the cold glass. It felt warm. She quickly pulled her hand back. "How can the window be warm?" she whispered. Across the carriage, the elderly doctor slowly removed his spectacles. He rubbed his eyes, then looked outside once more. The view had not changed. At the front of the train, the engineer suddenly leaned forward. A light, far ahead, a single golden lantern glowed through the mist. The fireman stared in disbelief. "There isn't a station on this part of the line." "I know," the engineer replied quietly, "but we're heading straight toward one." Minute by minute, the light grew brighter. Then, a platform slowly appeared. It was small, old, covered in fresh snow. An ancient wooden station stood beside the tracks. Its sign was faded with age. The engineer narrowed his eyes. He could barely read the name. Ravenhill. His heart skipped a beat. That can't be possible. The fireman looked at him. "You know the station?" The engineer nodded slowly. "My grandfather told me about it. It was abandoned many years before I was born." The train slowed on its own. No one touched the brakes. With one long, lonely whistle, the Midnight Express came to a perfect stop. The platform was completely empty. No station master, no passengers, no footprints in the snow. Only one oil lantern burned beside the old station door. Its flame never moved, even though the winter wind continued to blow. Then, the station door slowly opened. Creak. A tall man stepped outside. He wore an old railway uniform. His cap was covered with snow. His face remained hidden beneath the shadow of the brim. Without saying a single word, he slowly raised his lantern and looked directly at the train. Then, he smiled, very gently, as though he had been waiting for this train for a very, very long time. The train that arrived 27 years late, 1891. Part 6. The Man Who Knew Every Passenger. The old station remained perfectly still. Not a single sound disturbed the frozen morning. The man stood beside the platform, holding his lantern high. Its golden light reflected softly upon the fresh snow. No one moved. No one spoke. The engineer slowly climbed down from the locomotive. His boots crunched gently against the snow. Crunch, crunch. The mysterious station master watched him approach. His face was calm. His eyes were kind, almost familiar. "Good evening," the old man said quietly. His voice was warm, gentle, as though he had been expecting them. The engineer frowned. "Where are we?" The old man smiled. "You are exactly where you need to be." The answer made no sense. The engineer looked around once more. The station was old, very old. Its wooden walls were faded. The station clock hung above the entrance. Its hands pointed to 11:47. It wasn't moving. The engineer's heart skipped a beat. That was the exact time. The mountain station clock had stopped. Inside the first carriage, Emily Carter carefully stepped onto the platform. The icy air touched her face. She looked at the old station building. Something felt strangely familiar, as if she had dreamed about this place before. The old man slowly turned toward her. Then he smiled. "Miss Emily Carter." Emily froze. "I never told you my name." The old man nodded gently. "No, you didn't." He looked beyond her. "Dr. William Harris." The elderly doctor looked up in surprise. "Your wife is waiting for you." The doctor turned pale. My wife passed away 3 years ago. The old man remained silent. Then, he looked toward the little girl. You still carry the blue ribbon your grandmother gave you. The little girl reached for her coat pocket. Her eyes widened. The blue ribbon was still there. No stranger could possibly know that. A cold silence filled the platform. The passengers slowly gathered together. One by one, the old man greeted each of them. By name, he knew their families, their memories, even the promises they had never spoken aloud. Finally, Emily whispered the question everyone was afraid to ask. Who are you? The old man looked toward the snow-covered mountains. His gentle smile never faded. Then he answered, I've been waiting for this train for 27 years. The lantern flickered. The station clock gave a single tick. For the first time, it began to move. Part 7. The passenger who shouldn't exist. The station clock continued to tick. Tick, tick, tick. For the first time in what seemed like forever, time was moving again. No one spoke. The passengers stood silently beneath the falling snow. Each of them stared at the mysterious station master. The old man lowered his lantern. Its warm light danced across the frozen platform. Then he quietly said, There is one passenger on this train who was never supposed to be here. A cold silence filled the station. The engineer looked at the passenger list. He counted carefully. Once, twice, then a third time. There are 148 names. He looked up. We have 149 passengers. His voice trembled. That isn't possible. The station master nodded gently. It never was. The passengers slowly looked at one another. Some whispered. Others quietly counted their family members. Everyone insisted the numbers were correct. No one appeared to be missing. Yet, one extra passenger stood among them. Someone who did not belong. Emily Carter felt a chill run through her body. She looked around the platform. Faces filled with confusion, fear, silence. Then, she noticed a young man standing near the last carriage. He wore a dark wool coat dusted with snow. A black railway cap covered his head. His leather suitcase rested quietly beside him. No one was speaking to him. No one even seemed to notice him. Emily slowly walked closer. Excuse me. The young man looked at her and smiled politely. Are you traveling alone? She asked. Yes. Which carriage were you sitting in? He looked toward the train, then quietly replied, I don't remember. Emily frowned. Where did you board the train? The young man's smile slowly faded. After a long silence, he whispered, I've been trying to remember that for 27 years. Before Emily could ask another question, a powerful gust of icy wind swept across the platform. Snow filled the air. Everyone instinctively closed their eyes. Only for a moment, when the wind passed, the young man was gone. His suitcase had vanished with him. Emily stood frozen. Her heartbeat echoed in the silence. She slowly turned toward the station master. The old man closed his eyes, then softly said, The journey has only just begun. Far beyond the station, a lonely steam whistle echoed through the mountains. But there was no train on the tracks. Part 8. The Locked Carriage. The lonely whistle slowly faded into the frozen mountains. Silence returned. No one dared to speak. Emily Carter looked around the platform once more. The young man had disappeared. Not a single footprint remained in the fresh snow. It was as though he had never been there. The station master quietly lifted his lantern. Its warm golden light reflected across the platform. Then he looked toward the very last carriage of the Midnight Express. The answer you seek, he whispered, is waiting inside. Every passenger turned to look. The last carriage stood alone at the end of the train. Its windows were dark. No lantern burned inside. A heavy iron chain wrapped around both doors. An old brass lock hung silently beneath the handle. The engineer frowned. That carriage has been locked since we left the station. The fireman slowly shook his head. No, it was never locked. The engineer looked at him in surprise. I checked every carriage before departure. There was no chain. There was no lock. A cold breeze drifted through the station. Emily stepped closer. The brass lock looked ancient. Its surface was worn by time. Across the top, 4 words were engraved. "Do not open alone." The passengers exchanged nervous glances. The elderly doctor removed his gloves and touched the iron chain. It was freezing cold, almost impossible to hold. Then, from inside the carriage, someone knocked. Knock. A long silence followed. Then again, knock. The little girl grabbed her mother's hand. "Someone's inside." No one answered. The engineer slowly pressed his ear against the wooden door. Nothing. Only silence. He reached for the brass lock. The station master suddenly spoke. "Wait." His calm voice echoed across the empty platform. "If you open that door before the clock strikes midnight, someone on this train will never return home." The engineer immediately stepped back. Every face turned toward the old station clock. Its hands continued moving. Slowly, patiently, they had almost reached midnight. Then, a third knock echoed from inside the locked carriage. This time, it was louder. Knock. The lantern in the station master's hand flickered violently. Its golden flame almost went out, and from beneath the carriage, a thin ribbon of white mist slowly began to creep across the frozen platform. Part 9. The door opened at midnight. The station clock continued its slow journey toward midnight. Tick, tick, tick. No one moved. The passengers stood together, their eyes fixed upon the locked carriage. The white mist continued to spread across the platform. It drifted gently around their feet. Cold, silent, almost alive. Emily Carter looked toward the station master. "You knew this would happen, didn't you?" The old man nodded. "Yes. But I prayed this day would never come." The engineer tightened his grip on the heavy iron chain. His hands trembled. "What is inside?" The station master answered quietly. "Not what. Who?" A deep silence followed. Then, the station clock began to strike. Dawn. The first bell echoed across the mountains. The brass lock suddenly clicked. Click. No one had touched it. The second bell rang. Dawn. The iron chain slowly slipped from the door, falling heavily onto the platform. Clang. The third bell echoed. The wooden door slowly opened by itself. Creak. A warm golden light filled the dark carriage. It was not the light of an oil lantern. It was softer, brighter, almost peaceful. Emily took one careful step forward. Inside, the carriage looked untouched. Every wooden seat was perfectly clean. Every brass lamp shone brightly. Not a single layer of dust covered the floor, as though the carriage had been waiting for this exact night. At the very last seat, a lone passenger quietly sat beside the window. He wore an old black railway conductor's uniform. A silver pocket watch rested in his hand. His cap lay neatly upon his knees. He slowly looked up. His face was calm, kind, tired. He smiled gently. "I was wondering how much longer it would take." The engineer's face turned pale. He recognized the uniform immediately. It belonged to Captain Jonathan Hale, the conductor of the Midnight Express, the man who had officially disappeared 27 years ago. Emily whispered, "But you're supposed to be dead." Captain Hale slowly shook his head. "No, I simply never reached home." A tear rolled down the elderly doctor's face. The station master quietly removed his hat. For the first time, he bowed his head, not in fear, but in respect. Captain Hale slowly stood. He looked at every passenger, then softly asked one question. "The others? Did they all make it home?" No one knew how to answer. Outside, the station clock struck its final bell. Dawn. The mountains became silent once again, but deep within the carriage, another voice quietly whispered. Part 10. The letter no one was meant to read. The station clock struck midnight. Dawn. 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 The final echo drifted across the silent platform. The old station master slowly nodded. "You may open the door now." The engineer took a deep breath. His trembling hands reached for the ancient brass lock. Click. The lock fell onto the snow. The heavy iron chain slipped quietly to the ground. For a moment, no one moved. Emily Carter stepped closer. The engineer slowly pushed the carriage door open. Creak. A rush of freezing air escaped into the station. The lanterns outside flickered. Inside, the carriage was completely empty. No passengers, no luggage, no footprints. Only rows of old wooden seats covered with a thin layer of dust. The passengers looked at one another in confusion. But the little girl whispered. Someone was knocking. The station master quietly walked inside. His lantern illuminated the far end of the carriage. There, resting alone upon the last seat, lay a small leather envelope. It was untouched, covered in dust, sealed with dark red wax. The station master gently picked it up. Then he looked at Emily. "This," he said softly, "has been waiting for 27 years." Emily's hands trembled. "For me?" The old man nodded. "It carries your father's name." Emily's heart stopped. "My father, but he is waiting for me at home." The station master's gentle smile slowly faded. He was. A long silence filled the carriage. He waited every evening. For 3 years. Then every Christmas. For 10 more. He never stopped believing this train would arrive. Emily could no longer speak. Tears slowly filled her eyes. The old man carefully placed the sealed letter into her hands. No one was meant to read this. Until tonight. Emily looked at the faded handwriting. It read, "To my beloved daughter, Emily, if this letter ever finds you." Before she could break the seal, a powerful steam whistle echoed outside. The entire train shook violently. The station master looked through the window. His peaceful expression disappeared. "They found us," he whispered, "and we are almost out of time." Part 11. The Truth Hidden in Time. For a long moment, no one spoke. Emily stared at the old envelope resting in her trembling hands. Its faded paper had turned yellow with age. The red wax seal remained perfectly unbroken. Slowly, very slowly, she broke the seal. Crack. Inside, there was only a single letter, neatly folded. She unfolded it with great care. The handwriting was elegant, steady, gentle. She began to read. "My dearest Emily, if you are reading this letter, then time has shown you more mercy than it showed me. I do not know whether I will ever see you again, but I need you to know one thing. No matter what happens tonight, I never stopped loving you. If this train does not return, do not spend your life waiting for me. Live, smile, laugh, build a family, and whenever you hear the whistle of a distant train, remember that somewhere your father is smiling too. Love always. Your father." Emily could read no more. Tears rolled silently down her face. The elderly doctor quietly removed his hat. Several passengers lowered their heads. Even the little girl, who did not fully understand the letter, began to cry. The station master looked toward the snowy mountains. "For 27 years," he whispered, "that father waited for one final chance. To say goodbye." Outside, the first light of dawn slowly touched the mountain peaks. The thick white mist began to disappear. The old station started to fade. Its wooden walls became transparent. Its lanterns grew dim. The station master smiled peacefully. "Our time is over." The engineer looked around in disbelief. "What happens now?" The old man answered softly. "You go home." "And what about you?" Emily asked. The station master looked at the rising sun. "I have been waiting here for 27 years. My train has finally arrived." He slowly raised his lantern one last time. Its golden light shone brighter than ever before. Then, the old station master, the station, and the endless white mist quietly disappeared into the morning light. Only the midnight express remained, standing silently upon the railway tracks, as if nothing had ever happened.
The train that arrived 27 years late, 1891. Part 12, The Last Whistle, final part. The first rays of the morning sun gently touched the snow-covered mountains. The cold winter wind had finally become calm. The Midnight Express stood quietly upon the frozen tracks. No one spoke. No one wished to break the peaceful silence. Emily Carter carefully folded her father's letter. With trembling hands, she placed it close to her heart. For the first time in many years, she did not feel sorrow. She felt peace. The engineer slowly walked along the length of the train. Everything looked perfectly ordinary. The engine, the carriages, the tracks. It was almost impossible to believe what they had just experienced. The elderly doctor looked toward the mountains and smiled softly. Perhaps some journeys are never meant to be measured by time, but by love. No one answered, because everyone knew he was right. The passengers quietly returned to their seats. The engineer climbed back into the locomotive. He looked at the old pocket watch in his hand. It had stopped exactly at 11:47. He gently smiled, then placed it inside his coat. The fireman slowly opened the steam valve. White clouds drifted into the cold morning air. The engineer reached for the whistle cord. For a brief moment, he hesitated. Then he pulled it. The Midnight Express released one long, gentle, melancholy whistle. Its lonely echo rolled across the snowy valleys, through the silent pine forests, and over the distant mountain peaks. Far away, for just a single heartbeat, another whistle answered. Soft, peaceful, then silence. The train slowly began moving. Its great iron wheels turned once more, leaving the mountains behind. Hours later, the Midnight Express finally arrived at its destination. Families waited patiently upon the platform. One by one, the passengers stepped down. Many embraced their loved ones with tears in their eyes. Emily walked slowly through the crowd. An elderly man stood quietly near the station gate. His silver hair shone beneath the winter sun. When he saw Emily, he smiled without a single word. Father and daughter embraced. For a long time, neither of them let go. Some moments need no words. Years passed. The story of the Midnight Express became nothing more than an old railway legend. Some people believed it, others laughed at it. But every winter, on the night of December 18th, railway workers passing through the mountains still paused for a moment, because if the wind was quiet and the snow was falling gently, they sometimes heard a distant steam whistle, long, soft, peaceful, as though the Midnight Express was still making its journey through the mountains, keeping an old promise: forever. The end. Not every journey ends at its destination. Some journeys live forever in the hearts of those who remember.